welcome everybody to the 2026 edition of Click Happens here. I hope everybody had a great holiday. I'm joined as usual with Kyle Sadi. Kyle is Chief Revenue Officer and EVP of Underwriting for SeedPod Cyber. Kyle, happy New Year, I guess. Good to see you. And then I also have Sinclair Morris. Sinclair is our Director of Strategic MSP Partnerships. Sinclair, good to have you.
Yeah. Yep. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Here. Well, I guess we're going to start off, it is Happy New Year. It's also a happy birthday. Happy birthday to cyber insurance. We should have candles and cake and blow horns here. But Kyle, so 25 years ago, cyber insurance was born. What can you tell us about what was going on?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because 25 years, it's a lot of time, and then it's not a lot of time. Obviously, if you talk to like property insurers and things like that, they've been around 50, 100 years, if not more. But yeah, the 25-year mark, it's funny, that's argued amongst OGs. I'm not an OG. I've been in the market 16 years, but not quite 25. And people argue sometimes it started in like the very late 90s. I think discussions happened, but people kind of like to say a pure cyber policy came out in the very beginning of 2000. I think what's interesting, though, obviously milestones are a good time to reflect on what's happened in the past. And we look at cyber insurance. I really think of cyber insurance as kind of three different areas over the time period of the marketplace. One was the creation period, which in the past, there was always like tech E&O, errors and omissions coverage, which again, if you're a tech company, you're providing services or products, you have some type of negligence or an error, you might have a claim. Well, what they saw in kind of the late 90s was there was this additional trigger there, something related to cyber events. And this was during the .com era where, online stores and things like that were booming. And they saw additional exposure there. At that point, it was really just third party. And then they saw some first party losses. So things the company might need reimbursement for. So that was kind of the evolution and the beginning and the creation of the cyber market. And it kind of was being figured out. And then around 2000, between 2006, 2009 is when it started to evolve and go its next place, which is really kind of what I call the privacy breach, data breach era. And you had some laws and restrictions come out during that time period that really put an emphasis on companies saying, if you're collecting third-party data, consumer data, that sort of thing, and you have a breach of that data, you can't just kind of say, hey, sorry, good luck. No, you have to notify those insureds or businesses that you had a breach. You have to give some kind of credit or identity monitoring. And that drove the market and really took off and evolved really from, like I said, 2006, 2009 to about 2019. A lot of people will probably remember there were some big data breaches during that time. Things like, I think Home Depot had one, the big Target breach, a lot of credit card breaches. That was a big thing. And that drove the market, like I said. And then 2019 was the next evolution. And it's kind of where we're at now. But that was the launch of really ransomware. It wasn't that ransomware was brand new in 2019. It was that threat actors figured out how to weaponize it against any type of company. And you start to see dual extortion. So you saw a company couldn't get access to their data and the threat actor was able to exfiltrate that data. And that created a really hard market. It really exploded the marketplace. And that's where we are today. So that's kind of the evolution of the marketplace over the last 25 years. Where we're going is anyone's guess. But I really like to break it up into those three different segments.
Okay. Yes, and some would argue that it did happen a little bit before then. There with the more, it was almost a media liability type exposure that came through, but kind of the evolution of just beginning to add some cyber exposures to the tech E&O, and then that was kind of the primordial pool. It was bubbling for a few years, and then you got lo and behold, regulations started propping up with regards to data breach. And once the lawyers get a hold of it, you know that there's going to be claims. So then there was coverage need there, and then certainly the ransomware, which I would say was COVID was certainly an accelerant to that, right? When people started working from home and kind of exposed the fragility of the existing security at that time there.
If I may,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
kind
go
of
ahead.
for any small to medium-sized businesses listening, what Kyle sort of mentioned is it started more so as endorsements on other commercial lines. And we've seen not only the insurance market for cyber insurance, but also, the threat landscape has evolved tremendously since 25 years ago. So if you are operating with just some sort of endorsement on your commercial policy, maybe 2026 is the year to get that standalone coverage in place.
And what does that really mean, Kyle? Standalone versus, if it's attached to another policy?
Yeah, I think it means a couple things. First off, when I see when I see endorsed coverage onto a different type of policy, it's concerning because typically I only see maybe third-party liability. And again, for a cyber policy, you really want both third-party and first-party. Third-party claim brought against your organization. First party is, oh my gosh, I have expenses like forensics, extortion, business interruption, all these things that we see commonly triggered. So that's one, making sure you have the adequate coverage. And two, sharing of limits. We actually, I think just last week, we placed a policy where a client had cyber under it was endorsed onto like their GL coverage, and we were rightly moving it, their tech and cyber combined, which there's overlapping exposure, and then their GL separate. Really important because you want to make sure you have the right limits in place if you have that really catastrophic loss, which we don't always see the catastrophic loss, but we see them occasionally, that the client has the right limits and it's not being taken away from other losses that really aren't cyber related. So those are the two things I think about.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And yet we talk about, when we talk about tech E&O, we say that you should have cyber attached to your tech E&O. And why do we say that?
Yeah, common question we also get, and one that I probably answer on a weekly basis. It depends how a claim can come. And I'll give an example because we work with a lot of managed service providers. They provide tech services and products for a living. They get paid to provide that. So let's pretend an MSP has a cyber event, and because of that cyber event, they are not adequately providing that service or product to their client. That client could sue them for negligence of professional services, failure of technology services, and that would be a tech E&O claim. Or that client could also have had a breach because of the MSP, and they're not getting their tech services, but they turn around and sue them because they had a cyber event. And they're saying, we're suing you because you are the reason for this. You could see however they bring that claim, you want to make sure that one policy is responding to that event. So you could bring it two different ways. You want to make sure that your policy is covering for both. Don't want a situation where they bring one, you only have coverage maybe for the tech. Because they brought it for a cyber event, you're not getting coverage. So it's why we combine them. It's pretty standard in the marketplace at this point. The conversations are kind of gone of separating them. That was way long ago, earlier in the market.
Right. And does that create, when you have them combined like that, does it create an issue of coverage adequacy, perhaps?
I think to answer that, I think it's when you really start to look at limits and make sure that you have the right limits. We just, Doug, this, but we're working with a client to provide them $20 million tower to adequately cover them for the tech and the cyber. And again, when we look at actual claim examples, I've certainly seen some nasty ones over the years, some really big losses. And it's not that every single client is going to have the worst loss, but you purchase insurance to make you whole and to hedge against that really big loss. So, if you have a cyber event, hopefully it's on the smaller side. But if it's really that catastrophic loss, you want to make sure you have the right limit in place. So that's why higher limits are always an option.
Right. There, I think it's something that the especially those like managed service providers should be paying attention to. Uh, One of the challenges is that they have that systemic risk component.
Mm.
So if they get hacked, 100 of those clients could be hacked, or if they had 100 clients, and which could represent 100 different claims coming back towards them. There, that could create some challenges in terms of adequacy there. Um, the well, so happy birthday! So you can, I'm sure if you haven't already booked a reservation for dinner tonight, it's probably tough to do it because I'm sure they're all booked out for this type of celebration. But hope you get a chance to enjoy. And the it looked like the government didn't sleep over the holidays. We had besides taking over countries, uh, we there were a couple of cyber related items that popped up. One had to do with the cyber security strategy. Kyle, do you want to kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, I think it's good to see. The U.S. it can be tough when it comes to different strategies because with 50 different states, there's usually different state breach notification laws, things like that. But I like to see when there's more federal guidance on what companies can do instead of separate states. I just think that takes longer. And I think what I saw was they're getting close to releasing, parts of the government kind of guidance for U.S. companies on what they should really focus in 2026. Not surprisingly, focus around AI. Some of it was just active defense, which I didn't think was groundbreaking. That's just doing things like making sure you have like what's called an MXDR. It monitors all your endpoints in real time, and it's telling you what's going on. It's like having security cameras and bodyguards on your systems. And a lot of companies don't have those resources in place, so that's important. But I thought around AI it was a little bit more helpful, talking about securing AI systems and data. I think that's really important because I shouldn't say everyone, but most people are kind of trying to wrap their hands around AI use in their daily business. And if you're sharing data with your chat GPT, is that going public? Is it not? You need to be careful around that. So that was a piece of it. And then using AI as well to help protect yourself. Again, we know threat actors are using AI to have better penetration with their cyber attacks. So, we should also be using AI for defense because it can operate a little bit faster and defend better.
Right. Interesting. And what should businesses take away from this?
For me, I think the biggest part is continuing to invest in cybersecurity. And you can never invest enough, and that unfortunately you need the buy-in at the board level, and that's important. But I think the AI governance data piece is really interesting, and I do think we won't go down this rabbit hole, but there's going to be a lot of privacy loss, I think, due to AI, and I don't think you can just kind of sit there and blame AI. I think it's companies not having a really good understanding of AI governance, of AI data governance, again, of how to use AI in your business, but do it securely and that sort of thing. So I think that's a really important area where there needs to be a lot more education, and companies need to understand how to do that.
Sure. And Sinclair, are you seeing the MSPs kind of trying to figure out how to play in this AI space and helping their clients get ready for using AI or finding out what's already being done? Because I'm sure a lot of employees are probably 3 steps ahead of the company there.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, looking back at, say, January 2025, We talk about AI governance in our partnership applications. And I feel like AI governance wasn't really something we received a response of, yes, we have policies in place for this. And certainly over the past, I'd say 3 to 4 months, I've seen an increase in MSPs saying they do. They have framework for it. They've got policies around it. And they are integrating AI into their security environment, whether that be through, tools they've already been using, some of the big players who have introduced AI tooling within their own, programs already, but also other, one-off AI programs that they're using in their workflows.
Right, right. Well, that's good. That. I think it's important. And we've talked about this before, but many companies don't really know where their data is, and how long they hold on to it, and even in some cases what type of data, and to really have a solid AI governance program, that it's really important that you do that. So, and it not only helps in terms of governing AI, knowing what data you have helps in a whole lot of other ways, from a security standpoint, privacy standpoint. So, um, uh, you know, businesses uh, you know, can certainly use the support of managed service providers who really can help them understand just getting their data inventory down, and things like data classification, what should be confidential, what's public. These are all things that are you see in cybersecurity policies, but not many businesses pay attention to it. Certainly in the small and medium size companies there. So there's an opportunity here, I think, from a managed service provider standpoint to provide those services, and I think and it's something that businesses hopefully will start getting ahead of the curve before the regulations start coming. But as we know, usually it's only when there is fear of some cost that the businesses typically respond. So we'll see how that goes moving forward here. And then I think the government is, Uncle Sam wants you, if you are a cybersecurity company, right, to help. What was that about, Kyle?
Yeah, what could go wrong with this idea? They actually want to tap into the private market in the U.S. to help with offensive cyber operations. To be honest, I'm actually kind of a fan of, other than my joke I just made of what could go wrong. Supposedly they want to put $1 billion towards this, but I'll just give you my thoughts on this. So right now, we know U.S. companies, let alone other companies in the world, are just under attack. And to be clear, what is the government's involved with protection there, and what does that look like? There is nation state hacking, there's like activist hacking, and then there's what I call more like financial gain hacking. And what's really driving the losses today for U.S. businesses is that financial piece. Nation state hacking, there can be a mix there. Like North Korea is known to make a lot of money off this, but the government is very much involved with more of that nation state hacking, getting involved in that. What they're not really involved with, nor do we really have the resources, is to protect the day-to-day against those financial gains. So this is just like the mob used to exist. People literally go in other countries to work just like you and I, and they are just hacking for financial benefits. That's all it is. It's not anything else. They're just trying to make a lot of money, and they do, unfortunately. So I think that's what this recommendation is can we get private U.S. businesses to be on the offensive against some of these threat acting groups, to either prevent or maybe get some of this money back. And again, I think it's a decent idea if it's controlled in the right way. I think we need all the help we can get. And if this is the way to privatize it, it's almost like a letter of marque back in the old days of, does anybody, Sinclair, do you know what that is?
Right.
This is my boat nerd history. Back in the day, for example, 1700s, when there would be wars, they didn't have enough ships to go out and fight the enemy, if they will. So they would privatize it, and they would give letters of marque. So like England would be like, hey, merchantman, here's a letter of marque. You can get some guns, and you can go attack Spain and share the rewards with us. So it's almost like the same concept, just 2025 or 2026 cyber version, I guess.
Right. So this isn't. So they're when you say offensive, it is to, okay, here's a letter of marque, go attack China, and take a percent of what you can get, and give us the rest. Is that what they're saying?
I think so. Although I would say China is off limits. I think it would be more go attack these threat groups, which might be backed by China, but we don't officially know. Go take down some of these ransomware gangs that exist. And I don't think they're going to split the rewards of what they stole from U.S. businesses, but if maybe they're getting paid a contract by the government, the article did talk about $1 billion set aside for this. So again, I think we'd be waiting to see what the details there, but yeah, it feels like a similar concept.
Okay. All right. Well, interesting. Wonder which.
Doug, are you planning another SeedPod division? Is this?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of. Yeah, this is. We'll have our own Department of War division here to go after it there. Interesting. From that standpoint, the with I think Sinclair, do you have any thoughts to that? Any comments, reactions?
No, I'll be very curious to kind of see once more details come out. I mean, I'm all for being on the offense, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep. I think we talked before about I think on our holiday podcast about New Year's resolutions and what we would like to see from companies or MSPs with regards to cyber security. In kind of that vein, January is also for some dry January, where they try to take the month off and detox. And obviously alcohol is one. Some people do sugar detox January or something like that as well. Here, I was just mentioning that I'm trying to limit my not social media as much, but certainly the phone, looking at the phone after certain hours, and be more present. What do you guys have any digital dry January resolutions, or should you have dry resolutions there? Sinclair, what about you?
Are we talking personally or?
Yeah, personally.
Oh, personally.
Well, we'll talk personally first.
Okay. Personally, yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the screen time. Not even just the phone, more so like TV. So finding better ways to enjoy evenings would be, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. Kyle, what about you?
Yeah, I've got two. One is sugar. I was in a bad run of November to December. We have like a candy drawer, and some of that was just what you get over the holidays, and B, buying some stuff at the grocery store. So reducing that, cutting that out. And then, with the technology, I was, funny enough, it's like I go cyclical during the year where I go back and forth. I felt like I was in a good run of, not doing the technology, not mindlessly having the phone out. And then I found December, I was doing that a lot. So that's one for me too, where at some point you just, shut it down, put it away. I try and add some books in, some pirate history books to talk about Mark, and
Right.
try and bring that back in as well.
Right. And it's tough. I mean, it's only been a couple days, but I find myself, and sometimes it's even when you're watching TV and something comes up and says, "Oh, well, where did I see that actor before?" And I used to, just go right online and figure it out there, and it kind of creates a little bit of distance, which we used to have, or we used to be okay. I used to be okay not knowing something for a period of time there, and so living in that space of is will be a change. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out for me, and and the hope is obviously that you're present for whatever you happen to be doing, which is or who you happen to be with there. From a if we kind of turn this into a business context, what are some dry January type digital things that businesses could perhaps do in at least to kick off this year? What do you think?
Real quick, I just want to say, because you said that about seeing someone on a TV show or a movie and wondering where that happened to me last week. And I took a picture of the screen and I uploaded it to ChatGPT and I said, "Can you tell me who this is? It's a celebrity." And it wouldn't do it. It can't do facial scans like that. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
do a Google reverse image search. But yeah, so for businesses, and I've read this a few times as we're looking at 2026, dry January, I'd say let's remove all that standing admin, all those standing admin permissions that might just be sitting.
There you go.
Implement some role-based access. Very important.
Wow, that's a good one. That is very good. There. Kyle, what about what can you think of?
I don't want to answer. That was a really good one. Should have gone before. I was just gonna say more implementation of AI. I found a pretty big debate over the holidays with some folks, and I actually shared an article with you guys. But there is this is it's beyond even usage of AI for cyber protection, but more AI in business. And we're such on this precipice right now of AI can be so helpful, but right now we have a cultural issue, which I understand, which is it almost feels like cheating sometimes of using AI. Or you're like, well, what's my job if AI is taking on 30% of what I did before and it's getting comfortable with that and understanding how we can use it and where you don't need it and things like that. So that's kind of my view of it.
That take January to lean into AI is basically right.
Yeah.
With regards to it there. So next time, Sinclair, instead of you should try ChatGPT, then Claude, then Gemini, then DeepSeek, and see which ones scan. There. And just to go back to that, one of the things that got me thinking that maybe I should be not as focused on the technology and TV is I actually took a picture of the TV on the wall. I asked ChatGPT, what's the largest size TV I could get for here? And it told me. So
I mean, it saved you time, so it makes sense.
I know, but I'm doing something, just wrap me right into technology and, external, that stimuli there, mind-numbing stimuli. But I think, on the AI things, I could certainly say quite a bit. I certainly agree on that. The word of the year, at least The Economist, who does, I guess they have words of each year they come up with word of the year. and the word of the year that they had was slop, which apparently is used by a lot of people to describe, what AI produces. And I've even heard it on the development side is that, on the coding side, you, you know, there's a lot of slop in there, meaning it's not, all that it's, what you're getting is not all cracked up to be there. And I think there's something to that, but I think it also, when you look at the acceleration in just focusing on software development, I don't know if you can really, I don't know how long that word will really survive because, uh, you know, um, the CEO of Anthropic, which owns Claude, one of these um, uh, large language models, said, and it's always kind of out there with definitive with his opinions of things. Uh, but he said, by September, all coding would be 100% done by AI, and people thought he was crazy. And he did miss the mark, but only by 2 months, because in November, the coding of Claude itself, Claude Code, which is one of the best coding AI platforms, was done 100% by AI. So when you think of the pace of change there happening so quickly, what you may think is not production worthy. As soon as those words leave your lips, it's production worthy there. And what that also says, what we need too, is we need more people who are critical about AI and cynical about it to be the ones using it, because they're the ones who will come up and really stress test things rather than kind of the early adopters who are just seeing everything through their rose-colored glasses, right? There. So you really need almost the naysayers to be a bigger part of the group for it to be productive and have, healthy as it grows there. I, from the, I think from the dry January concept for me, and it's really tough because we all live in we're all working virtually. Is I think for businesses to kind of try to do different ways to engage the employees, and we'll try to figure out ways for our own little company, even though we're dispersed. But other than just through the two-dimensionality that we have of Teams or Zoom or whatever, I I kind of remember the days where you actually talk on the phone, and sometimes there were more engaging conversations there. I don't know. Maybe it's because I felt I didn't have to be on screen. I could walk around and things, but I think that's the way. What can we do to kind of connect more in different ways than what we're doing now. But
So we're gonna get VR goggles.
but we get VR goggles. Yes, yes. We'll all have Google glasses or whatever glasses are the glass of the moment. I forget which one's out there. There. That was a thing about 3 years ago. Actually, that was going to be the new thing. We're all going to be, and I think you can still, do that. But yes, we'll have Google glasses. We'll be in a beach somewhere. We'll be a corporate retreat. Beach, and we'll sip virtual Mai Tais and strategize. I kind of like that. I like that. There. Well, great. Well, we've taken enough of your time, Kyle and Sinclair, but I appreciate the conversation. I hope that those who are listening have as well, and hope everybody is off running for a great start to 2026. And we'll talk to you soon. All right, take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.